Kia ora, Matapelo here to bring you the weather forecast on Monday, the 4th of September. Well, it was a wet day up north. That was mostly due to this slow-moving frontal system that is bringing rainy and showery conditions for the northern part of the North Island. Elsewhere, especially these central, east, western and southern parts, it was a much brighter day for places out that way. But in the east, we did see some cloudy conditions and even some drizzle patches today. However, going forward, our main attention is on this high pressure system out here to the eastern parts. It is a blocking high, which means that it's causing a roadblock for these weather systems trying to move away, causing these systems to slow down, feeding in moisture from the north and bringing in a lot of rain and showers over, especially the top of the North Island. Going forward, we are expecting some heavy rain watches in those areas due to that slow-moving frontal system. And we've got rain watches for places like Auckland and the Coromandel Peninsula, especially from tonight for that Coromandel Peninsula. We could see a heavier burst of rain with that. But those watches go into tomorrow as well. Down here in the western part of the South Island, those watches come into effect tomorrow afternoon and run right through the day into Wednesday as well. So looking at what we're expecting for the overnight period, as I mentioned, the Coromandel Peninsula could see some of those heavier rain bursts overnight into early tomorrow morning, especially before dawn. Elsewhere, it is starting to also see some of that rainy conditions and showers coming in from the west. Generally a northeasterly flow over much of the country, a lot of cloud as well for many places. So due to that cloud, we see those temperatures not as low as we've seen them last week. For example, many temperatures in the double digits up north, and even down here, the eastern part and lower North Island, those high single digits. So that cloud acting as a blanket, keeping those temperatures relatively warm overnight. For the South Island, it's a fairly similar story, except for down south here, where some places down in Southland and inland Otago could still see patches of fog overnight and even some frosty areas as well. So running ahead into tomorrow, we see that frontal system moving very slowly across the island, delivering plenty of rain with the front, and just behind it, that trough as well, bringing some showery weather. And that comes into the South Island as well, especially for those western and northern parts of both islands. Now, having a closer look at the North Island, we can see that rain band with that front slowly making its way across the island as well, bringing in plenty of cloud, gradual cloud increasing throughout the day for many places, and just behind it, that trough bringing showery conditions. And especially for western parts, in the latter half of the day, we could see some possible downpours, more intense bursts of rain as that trough moves across. We do have those heavy rain watches in effect for Auckland and the Coromandel Peninsula, so do keep an eye on those and on metservice.com, as some of those details could be updated later on this evening. For everybody else out here in the east, it is a drier story compared to the western parts. So looking at the temperatures in the mid to high teens, and that is all due to this stream of air coming in from the north. It is a warmer airstream, so we do see those temperatures starting to increase as the day goes on. In terms of the minimum temperatures, again, those minimum temperatures in the double digits, we're not expecting frosty conditions this week. The air is just too warm. So looking ahead, we're expecting these double-digit minimum temperatures to continue for the North Island. But heading over to the South Island, looking out here in the west, we've got another cloudy day to start the day on Tuesday. Some clouds, a little bit of drizzle as well. But as the day goes on, that does start to break up and is replaced by more high cloud streaming through. Out in the west, however, it is a cloudier story, much wetter, a lot more rain coming in, especially those areas where we do have that heavy rain watch in effect. We are expecting a bit more persistent rain, especially from the afternoon out that side. But down here in the south, a lot less rain that we're expecting down there. And in terms of temperatures, those temperatures are also in the mid-teens, very average for this time of year, and that is for both the eastern and the western parts. In terms of those minimum temperatures, we are starting to see them in the mid to high single digits, so not too much frost expected for tomorrow night into Wednesday morning for these eastern parts, and a very similar story down here as well in the Southland region, although some pockets could still see some frost in the overnight period. Then running ahead into Wednesday, we see that high pressure system is still out there, but it's starting to move away ever so slightly, meaning that this trough and those frontal systems can finally make their way off the country. But never too far away is the next system, which will be bringing the next wave of wet weather, especially for that western part of the South Island. Out in the east, however, on Wednesday, we are going to see a much warmer day due to both the warm air coming in from the north and as well a northerly airstream. That's all I have for you for now. See you next time.